Hey guys, welcome back. So in today's video I'm going to be showing you guys all the equipments that I use to record. So today's video is going to be all about music, songwriting, the different kind of music that I was requested to songwrite for, like commercials or just, you know, regular artist music or my own music. Probably at the end of the video I want to just quickly find a random beat and show you guys just how I songwrite. And always over you and I. What are kind of like the music and standards of melody and lyrics that people look for, especially K-pop Korean companies? So let me just show you guys my mini home studio. So here is my mini. Ta-da! This is it. This is it, you guys. So a lot of people think that you need a lot of money, you need a lot of space. Please ignore the background clutter right there. Let me just tell you guys how much each of these products that I have are. Nor do you need that much space, especially for just regular beginners recording, or if you're doing just small side projects for yourself or any demos that you just really need like minimal things. So number one, what I have is the mic, which is obviously the most important. This one that I have is from AKG. I used to have a different one which was more expensive, which was not mine. I was actually borrowing my friends for a long time, so after I gave it back I got a new mic. This is a little bit cheaper, so I think AKG mics are really nice. I looked up different mics that were at least somewhat affordable. You really don't want to get too cheap of a mic because, you know, it's not going to be a great quality, but you do want a decent quality mic, and I think AKG is a pretty good brand. If you guys are looking for a cheaper option, I'll put a link down below of a $100 mic, which I heard was pretty good. I've never bought it personally, so I can't test it out, but there's good reviews on it if you're looking for a cheaper mic. So next, what you need is a mic shock mount, which kind of keeps the mic in place nicely, so you're not like always touching these sides, which you shouldn't at all. You want to keep it really nice and delicate. Now this is the vocal shield. This is made out of foam, as you guys could see. I used to have a big one, if you guys remember, but like I said, I gave that one back, so I got myself a little tiny mic stand one, which you could just put in the desk, and I always just like sit on my chair and then record, so I didn't feel like I need like a long stand one, because this is obviously just a home recording, so I just didn't think I needed a big one. So this one is pretty nice. Of course, something like this, it's not going to totally like cancel out the sound or anything like that. It just helps to really, you know, keep the sound barrier here, so you don't have a very echoey recording. So this does kind of take away the echo. It's not perfect, of course, like a real studio. Next thing is obviously the pop filter. It's called pop filter because it filters any pop sounds, you know, when you're singing or when you're talking. It does capture that like kind of sounds, so pop filter is definitely needed if you don't want any extra weird sounds in your recordings. Because mine is a tiny stand, I just put it down here, like a little tiny one here, and then all the way here. So as you guys could see, like if I was just sitting down on my chair right here, I could just record pretty quickly and easily like this. So this is super convenient for me, so I don't have to stand up or move anywhere. This is exactly right at my desk. So it's literally like a mini tiny recording studio in my desk in my room. So of course, next thing you need is an interface. Mine is from Focusrite Scarlett Solo, which means there's only one solo connecting cable for the mic. There are bigger ones where you could connect two mics, but for me personally, I'm just recording by myself, so I would never need two of these. And this one is a little bit cheaper. There is a nice bundle where it's around $130 I got this for. I always keep it to the lowest setting because you could always adjust the volume when you're mixing. If you have it too high, sometimes it will pop. And this is the earphone that came with the bundle. I personally don't love this earphones. I used to have the Sony one, which is I think so much better. If you're just recording vocals like me, this definitely does do it, but if you are a picky beat maker or producer, you might want to get a better earphone. Of course, this needs to connect to my computer, to my Mac, so I have my connector here. So the program that I use to make music is Logic Pro. Alright, so that's basically it for the setup of the home little mini studio. It's literally my desk. The whole thing probably cost me around $400. Obviously, if you guys are a little bit more pickier, you could get a better equipment than this, but this really does it for any demos. Alright, so I've mostly done Korean companies and Korean music, so I could only talk based on my experience, but I'm pretty sure it's not that different America or K-pop, because usually, you know, music is music, how you produce it. So number one, you have the beat makers. Beat makers are usually people just writing the beats, meaning the instrumental. So I am not a beat maker. I don't make beats. I wish I've learned learned it a long time ago, but for me personally it was just so hard and I wasn't really interested in making beats. There's also lyricists, people who write the lyrics to the song. I personally do lyric and melody making, so I don't just do lyrics. So I've done lyric making before for different songs and commercials and things like that. There's also top liners, which is more like a Korean word. We call it top lining. I don't know what you call this in America, but you just call it melody making. It's people who actually make the melody of the vocals, meaning like the person that's going to be singing the actual words and the lines. I personally love doing top lining because it's just that's just me. I love making the melody, just love top lining. So there are different people who love to do different kind of sections. People might love beat making, but they don't know how to top line and make something that like a vocal would sing. So usually if you're a singer-songwriter, you would, you know, get matched with the beat maker or producer, and the singer-songwriter will make the lyric and the top lining, and you just sing on top of the beats. There are times when I would sing completely what the producer would give me, meaning like the top lining, the lyrics would all be there, and they would match it to me, the artist. You know, they would see me, scan me, or whatever artist, and they would say, oh, you would fit more like this kind of concept, this kind of concept, this kind of music, and you would just sing what the producer gives you, which is totally fine as well. These days, especially if you have been debuted, if you are at a certain level, or if you're pretty good at making music, usually producers will work with you and allow you to kind of, you know, put your 2 cents of creativity in there. I personally think there's a big benefit if you do know how to top line and be a lyricist. I had a music teacher. He's amazing teacher for me. I mean, Don Marco, Meme out there. My teacher taught me how to write lyrics for music, especially rap, because you guys know mostly I've done a lot of rapping, and rap lyric making is so different than just songwriting just for vocals, because in raps you have to make a lot of rhymes and rhythm is so important. When it comes to just vocal songs, it's so much easier, especially for me. But I've done both before, and if you are kind of trained in both and have talent, it's really great because you will get more requested for work and songwriting. So the more talent you have, the better. So the different types of songwriting that I've done, number one, most that I've done was commercial writing. So commercial writing would be like phone or laptop commercial, or maybe there's like cosmetic commercials and they need music for that. So sometimes they would give it to me where I would sing the vocals. Especially I get called for a lot of rap making commercials before. I've shared on my social media of the different things that I've done. Some I had to delete because they didn't want me to, you know, put it up on social media. I also sing in the commercials, so I could do both, which is great in my opinion, because, you know, they don't need to hire another artist for that, and one artist could just do the whole thing. So that makes it simple for them, and it makes it better for me because I, you know, get called more. Especially if you guys are into doing commercial vocals like I have done. The number one thing that I think people love, producers or the companies love about the vocalist, is being multi-voiced, if that makes sense. For example, the producers of the commercials would tell me they want an Ariana Grande feel, they want Billie Eilish feel, they want a certain rapper kind of feel. So you would need to know how to do each individual. Of course, you won't sound exactly like them. You just need to give them the feel, the vibe, and that's pretty much it. So if you know how to do multi different types of voices and vibes, it will be great and you'll get called more. If you only know how to do one type of voice, you know, usually they'll only call you for that kind of commercials, which means it could be like only once a year or just once in a lifetime. The second one is I wrote for different K-pop artists as well. Now this one I haven't wrote for many K-pop artists at all. I wrote and there were songs that was released. I put them on my social media, especially I have a songwriter social media if you guys want to check that out. There were a couple songs that I wrote and just didn't make it, which is usually what happens. You guys have been writing songs. If you guys know any producers, you'll know that like they'll write like 100 songs and only like 1 or 2 will make it. So don't be bummed ever if your song doesn't make it at all. There was one time where I got requested to write for a very big boy group. I mean, they're like probably #1, but I'm sure like that boy group requested a lot of songwriters, a lot of lyricists and melody writers to write their song, but only one was chosen, obviously. So I wrote for them and mine didn't get chosen. In terms of those things, I'm not gonna talk about who I wrote for just because I know that a lot of the times it's not gonna make it, so I don't want to boast or brag about it at all. But for me personally, even if it doesn't make it, I think it's a really good experience. I remember I received a beat and now that song's released, and I was listening to how different I've made that song and I submitted it, and how that producer wrote it, and I was like, oh wow, like, you know, everybody writes things different, and I'm sure there was something that they wanted from that producer, so I thought it was a really good experience. So So when you're writing songs for other artists, I have to say the number one tip also is they really like it when the melody and the lyrics are pretty simple, such as it should be catchy, it shouldn't be too hard, it's too complicated, something very easy for people to listen to, and usually those were the ones that people liked. So there was one song that I did and the company requested to do a theme about I think empowerment. So I took that theme and I thought about what people would want to hear along with what my experience was. So I personally don't really like to write things too deep, especially if it's for other artists. You really want to write it so the other person can connect as well. You don't want to write something too personal or that person might not understand it. I found that when I'm writing demos, it's easier to write in English first than Korean. Especially if you're writing songs for other artists, they'll be totally fine if you write demos in English first and then they'll have a lyricist or they'll request you to write it in Korean. Usually English I feel like flows really nicely when it comes to melodies. Koreans, the syllables are very different. So I think it's a little bit better if you let them hear it in English because it makes it flow more nicely and easily. And they'll like the song a little bit better because if you write it in Korean at first, then they'll like understand the language. And I think you're a little bit more picky and judgmental when you're hearing it in Korean first. That's just my opinion, I think. Or it doesn't have to be English or Korean. If you guys are fluent in Spanish or French, just do it in whatever you're comfortable with. People really don't care about the language at the end. Of course, the third is the songs that I write for my own albums or music. Especially the old music that I've done. There are some of the songs that I've completely wrote the lyrics and melody for. There were things that I worked with the producers, and there were songs that I completely sang what the producer gave me. So I've done everything before, but like I said, the most memorable one is the one I write the lyrics and the top lining, and they're kind of like my babies, I guess. You know, it's like my work and projects, and even if I'm dead or, you know, if something happens to me, it'll still be there on earth for people to listen to. So I think that is like a really good thing about putting your own work out there. For beginners, here are the tips for songwriting. I say number one thing that I've started out with ever since, and I still do this today, is basically just go to YouTube. Especially if you want to put up your demos and things like that on SoundCloud, look for free beats or copyright free beats. Pick your favorite singer or a genre such as Ariana Grande type beat on YouTube. Choose a beat that I really like and I just start vibing with it and start songwriting. So when it's writing your own song, just be comfortable and just experiment, because at first you're not going to be good at it. You just don't know how to really make songs and things like that. Just be comfortable and find your own style. That's something that I've done. But when I'm writing my own songs, I pick the beat that I want and I think about the main theme, such as is it love, is it a breakup? I mean, what is the song about? It could be about anything that you want. The next tip is jot down any inspirational thoughts and ideas that always come to your mind after a movie, after listening to a certain song, after an event, a concert. I always jot down keywords, emotions that I felt at that moment. I mean, we always have phones with us, so what I do is I always write down what emotions I'm feeling, what kind of beat that I think my idea right now would really vibe well with. Also, there was a lot of times when I would wake up from sleep or in my dreams I would hear certain melodies or certain like emotions, my voice memos, and I would record everything that comes to my head, or certain melodies that I dreamt about, and I would always record it. I have so many recordings. Okay, so I remember, I wrote Dream Sing because I literally woke up to this melody. I don't even remember this one, but baby, I see the way you don't want. So just like this, just sing or write down whatever that comes to your mind. It's a really good practice. You could go back to it and be like, oh my god, I remember this melody that I used to do, and then actually make it and put it into a song. What also really helped me out a lot was doing it with a friend. If you have a friend that's a producer, songwriter, singer, whatever it might be, write with a friend. It really gives you like so much more ideas. It really lets you know how to work with that other person's voice. For example, I was working with Sam Rui, and then she had a different type of melody that came to her head. I had a different type of melody that came to my head. I loved her ideas. I mean, I loved the theme that she had. So I was able to get a lot of inspirations just by working together. And that really helped me to grow and songwrite. If you guys are beginners of top lining and lyrics, listen to one of the most top songs that are out there and see how they're broken down. How does the chorus go? How is it repeated throughout the songs and things like that? I mean, that really helped me out to really inspect what people love when it comes to songwriting. So I picked a random song. This one is called Free Ariana Grande x Selena Gomez x Justin Bieber type beat called Apologies. I think songs with that has a little bit of an up tempo into it. It's a little bit easier to write because you could keep a simple melody and a catchy chorus, and that's pretty much all you need. All I need, 'cause I've been down the road. Alright, so I'm gonna think of a tempo and I'm gonna just write the word bad. I don't know. I feel like being bad today. I'm just gonna write down the keyword bad and see where that takes me. I personally like to just think of a main theme and then just like write the melody first and then fit the lyrics into the melody. That's just how I personally do it. Maybe some people do it in a different way. You see, good is what I do. Is what you see. Good is what I see. I want to keep it really simple because I just want to make this, you know, quick song for the video for you guys. That is what you see. Good is what I see, baby.
Bad is what you see, good is what I see, babe. You and I different, yeah, we so different. Sad is what you feel, happy is what I feel. So delirious, am I delirious? There is a fine line between us. Can we come to a conclusion? Or do we have to fight? Always a war outside. There is no light between us. Can we come to a conclusion? Or do we have to fight? Always a war, you and I.
Just like this, you guys, you don't need the best equipment, especially for demos and things like that. All you need is a creative idea, your brain right here, creative you. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. I hope it helped you guys a little bit. I will link down everything below that I use down here and some other suggestions of what you guys can get. Remember, if you like that, hit the like button. It helps me out so much. And subscribe and hit the notification bell because I reply to all my early birds. Bye!